about to listen to the Dr. Dahlia Show. Sassy, stimulating medical talk radio. Any medical advice Dr. Dahlia Wax gives on her show should not be substituted for an actual visit to your medical provider. And now, here's Dr. Dahlia.
We are back in the Dr. Dahlia Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-Dr. Dahlia, 1-877-DOCDALI. So one issue a lot of us have, especially if we're prone to hoarding, is when is enough enough? Well, let's say you have a pain issue and you get a prescription for pain medications. You're not going to throw them out like the doctor tells you to. If you don't need them, you're going to keep them and you're going to hoard them. And then you tell yourself, well, gosh, I only have 20 pills. That's not going to be enough. What if I need more than 20? So now I need to get another prescription. Or, all right, well, I have Tamiflu in case there's flu, but what if I go through that? Then I'm not going to have any. And there's a psychology of what if I don't have? I need to know I have it. And in fact, I have a little bit of that psychology when it comes to migraine medicine. I have some Excedrin migraine in my backpack and in my purse. It's expired by now because I rarely need it. But if I have it and I know I have it, I don't get a headache. But one time I traveled to New York and for some reason I didn't have it. Or I used my last one. And once I realized I didn't have it, I started to get the worst migraine ever. So I ran over to one of the Hudson Newses, and I think the bottle was $10. I mean, it was expensive when you have to buy something at an airport. And I was so mad about that now I just always have a bottle of an Excedrin migraine just in case. Now, psychologically, people say, well, gosh, that was all in your head. Not when it comes to migraines. Something about migraines, and we still don't know why people get migraines. There's a lot of different things that could cause headaches. Blood pressure shifts, fluid shifts, viruses, inflammation, stress. But when it comes to migraines, it's interesting. I would take care of patients, and I would be feeling great. And then all of a sudden, I would get a migraine patient. And then I would start getting one because they would talk about the ice pick in their forehead, and then that I couldn't get that out. Another thing that happened to me as a doctor, I know I shouldn't tell you all this, but we talk about everything on the show, is if I had a patient who had a facial, I don't want to call it a tic, but where their eyelid twitched, where if they had an eyelid twitch, I would leave that exam room and start having an eyelid twitch. And one time I had an eyelid twitch for a week. Now, I just didn't really treat it. You could try some warm compresses, relax the muscle around there. And I was like, my husband's like, what happened to you? Like, I just had a patient with an eyelid twitch. Everything was fine. No, nothing stressful. I told them the patient was healed. Meanwhile, I have the eyelid twitch for a week. And so I noticed psychologically, I must pick things up that manifest into medical pathology or medical issues. And I remember getting ready to tell my nurses, don't give me any more patients with migraine. Don't give me any more patients with eye twitches. And maybe don't give me any patients with cancer because somehow I'm picking it up. And then but I never did. Look, I just got to get over it. I just have to get my mind over it. And luckily I have. And I've met people with eye twitches and I don't pick it up. I do, though, pick up accents. If you talk to me like, you're from Georgia, or you're from Texas, Mississippi, you have an accent, I'll start having an accent, and I just can't get rid of it. I don't know why. I just pick up accents. My father had an accent. I always talk like this because that's how his accent was, and I always talk like, and I just pick up accents, and I don't know why I do that. I need to stop that. And I don't do it on purpose. I just do. When I'm in New York, forget about it. So, but this, we talk about hoarding. And I'm going to probably spend a little bit more time on that in the coming weeks because I'm noticing a lot of us are hoarding. Maybe it's because of COVID. Maybe it's because we don't have the extra money for another piece of jewelry or another shirt or more light bulbs and we're starting to I've noticed that where I'm like, I don't want to throw something out that I might need later. Now, I look at my roots of that is because we were poor. And having to live in my grandmother's living room, share a mattress with my brother and sister. We had some good years and we had some bad years and more bad years. And I just remember my parents not having money for certain things, light bulb, food, having us run into McDonald's to grab jellies. So because they bought a loaf of bread and then I could use the jelly on the bread. And I felt like it was stealing to run into a McDonald's and steal their jellies. But that's what they had us do. And those are things. And so I never want to, I guess psychologically, I think that could always happen again. And so I'm not going to throw out the bread until it gets moldy. I'm not going to, you get free ketchup. I'm not going to throw that out. And so hoarding can happen, one, because of your past experiences, but two, is because you're always thinking to yourself, I don't want to be out of something because then it gets worse. And so I notice for me, if I have eye drops for pink eye, I have a bottle of eye drops that are completely expired. I need to throw them out. But I have them because my kids used to have pink eye. And I just feel like it's my safety net, even though I'm never going to use them because they're expired. Just, I have drops for pink eye. It's like, that's all my mind needs to know. And thank God nobody gets pink eye. But, this idea of as long as I've got it, I'm safe. There's something to that. And so you want to be careful because you don't want to have expired medicines. You don't want to be hoarding things where you have no room to sleep. You don't want to be keeping things that are junk. And so what I tell people to do, one cure for hoarding, is to do a garage sale. So you feel like you're getting something back because people can't throw things out or donate. So what are some things, we need to help the poor. We need to help individuals. What do you have that you've been saving that you could give and help somebody else with? Or you could sell and then use that money for something else or something good. But for those of you that have loved ones who are hoarders and they don't throw anything out and they get mad when you throw something out. Now, I get that. I understand the psychology behind it. But there's some things you could do to work through that. 1-877-DOC-DOLLY. Don't go away. Hey guys, it's Dr. Dahlia. Fantasy football season is coming, but sadly, too many of you are taking the bench while the country takes part in one of the most exciting and lucrative industries out there. Don't know how to play? Well, huddle up and listen. Paul Kalikas and I have written a fantasy football pocket guide for beginners. This book walks you through the basics and shows you how simple and lucrative joining or creating a fantasy football team can be. Read our fantasy football pocket guide for beginners found on Amazon or follow the links on X and Facebook. That's fantasy football pocket guides for beginners. Don't be left out.
At Hotshot Secret, we share the science behind common diesel problems. For example,
diesel fuel cetane levels.
The cetane rating in diesel fuel is 42 to 45. Most diesel engines operate more efficiently with a cetane rating of 48 to 50. One treatment of Hotshot Secret Diesel Extreme will raise your cetane 7 points, increase fuel economy, and improve cold starts.
Hotshot Secret Diesel Extreme is available nationwide at truck stops, fine farm and auto stores, and online at hotshotsecret.com. Hotshot Secret, powered by science.
This is an urgent announcement for anyone that's $10,000 or more in debt. Before you make another minimum payment, you need to know there are special programs that can completely free you of your debt. Total Financial Freedom can help you become debt-free in months instead of years. Resolve your credit card debt, signature loans, department store cards, internet loans, and timeshares. Call Total Financial Freedom now at 800-878-6020 for a free consultation. For 16 years, Total Financial Freedom has helped thousands get out of debt. You can feel confident when calling because Total Financial Freedom is A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau. Battling for years and years stuck in the endless cycle of minimum payments could take decades. You have the right to get your debt resolved and substantially reduce your monthly payments. Call Total Financial Freedom now at 800-878-6020. That's 800-878-6020. 800-878-6020.
Dahlia Show, 1-877-Dr. Dolly, 1-877-DOCDALI. Big thanks to Talk Media Network for making the show happen. Big thanks to Daniel, our producer, and big thanks to y'all for tuning in. We really do appreciate it. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter or X at Dr. Dahlia, Facebook, The Dr. Dahlia Show, and on YouTube, click like and subscribe. So, we knew that Trump's second term was not going to be without controversy, and he gets stuff done. I've never seen a president work harder, and I've never seen a president accomplish so much. But there's been some controversy. And one thing that is really kind of splitting people in the Republican, even the Democratic Party, has to do with Greenland. And even though more Democrats are saying it's not a good idea and Trump is being an expansionist and all that, there are some Democrats that I think do understand, the history of Greenland. I'm mixed on it. I haven't really come up, my very limited knowledge of the situation is I don't want to see us take it by force. But if there is a deal that could be reached, I support it, because if Russia's trying to take it and China's trying to take it, and Denmark has had a history that included, sterilizing, populations of, women and children. These are the indigenous women of Greenland, giving them IUDs. This was, I believe, between 1966 and 1975, non-consensually. Some of them had bad reactions to the IUDs and never been able to have children. So, Greenland has been, unfortunately, not without its drama. As much as I'd like to think everything's fine and peaceful there, no, they've been requiring help, including from America. And so some of the history is, I believe in 1867, Andrew Johnson explored buying Greenland and Iceland after taking over Alaska. Back in World War, but it didn't happen. Let me see. That was, and then in 1867, same year, Secretary of State William Seward also tried to buy Greenland. In 1946, World War II, the U.S. had to take over Greenland's defense when Denmark was occupied by Nazi troops. So the U.S. took over, we're going to protect Greenland. In 1946, I guess Truman tried to buy it. Truman tried to offer, according to Al Jazeera, $100 million. They were trying to buy it from Denmark, but Denmark and Copenhagen refused, and so I think it was $100 million in gold. Then I believe during the Cold War, during the Eisenhower and Kennedy years, there were negotiations to put bases and radar and missiles. Mike Bryant compiles a timeline. And then I believe Obama had expanded Clinton, Bush, and Obama expanded Arctic security and missile defense. And so we have a couple. We have, I think, Perufik Space Base, and also, is it Thule? I'm not exactly sure all the bases that are there, but America has bases and has representation there. And so here we are now in 2026. So it's not that Trump just came up with the idea of, all right, I want it, it's there. There's been some history, and he's reminded of it because every time he has to allocate for troops and command in chief, he's like, what are we doing in Greenland? What are our troops doing in Germany? What are our troops doing, in Saudi Arabia? And so obviously he's looking at that. Whether we are privy to all the intelligence or not as it pertains to what Russia wants to do, what China wants to do, I don't know how much we're going to get with that. I know people think Trump's using that as an excuse, but he's double downing. I mean, he is now, considering or threatening tariffs against Europe. And that is, really starting to kind of add up, increase the pressure. And Trump has said the world is not secure unless we have complete and total control of Greenland. Now, there's been some back and forth, and there has been some insinuation that Trump is now not a friend of Denmark's as a result of the Nobel Peace Prize. And I saw when Denmark's leader was here, right before that happened, you could see there was some tension, and when they were talking about Nobel Peace Prize, you saw him look down. They had never had any intention to give it to Trump. That doesn't mean Trump should take over Greenland, but completely skipping over him and going woke. Even though I do believe the Venezuelan opposition party leader is worthy, it's obvious how NATO, UN, Nobel Peace Prize, there's all this kind of anti-Trump sentiment. And so Trump had written, considering your country decided not to give me the Nobel Peace Prize for having stopped 8 wars plus, he wrote, I no longer feel an obligation to think purely of peace. He said, although it will always be predominant, but can now think about what is good and proper for the United States of America. So does America want or need Greenland? Well, yeah, if we are spending money to protect Greenland, and if we're there to protect it, we have an interest. Does it mean we get the whole of Denmark? I really believe that they can strike a deal. I don't want to see coercion. I don't want to see threats. I just don't think that's any time the right way to go. That's not, what we want our leaders to be. We have, I understand there are other leaders that are very expansionist. And in fact, Russia is kind of laughing and watching this from the sidelines. If they were expanding into Greenland, I think they're watching and waiting to see the rift, because the U.S. and the EU were always a united bloc for the most part publicly. And now there's such public rifts being seen. And I know many GOP members are like, okay, why now are we dealing with Greenland? We got the midterms coming up, and we got, why now? Well, I don't know what they know in terms of, I mean, we're hearing that there's battleships and there's countries moving in, and that this is something where, China, has already been, I guess having its sights on it. So I don't know if they know something that we don't know. And he's telling us, look, China and Russia are moving in, so we want to move in first. We have to take his word for it. It's just the poor Greenlanders, they've been through so much. But they're not autonomous. They rely on Denmark. Denmark relies on the U.S. when they're at war. Greenland needs a country. And so that's where this premise is it that Greenland has its own, they're doing their own thing, and, let them do their own thing. It's not like, we're going to Iceland or we're going to Israel saying, okay, we want to take you completely over. Greenland is already a territory relying on, other countries. And I'm sure Trump's going to bring up how much money we give Greenland or we give Denmark for Greenland. And so it was only a matter of time that the U.S. would revisit acquiring the property. Now, it wasn't popular and it wasn't well received, but Trump feels like he is in a position where now he can move on that. And we just spoke about the psychology of, whatever I do now, I need to do it to protect in the future. I need to hoard now because I don't know what I'm going to need in the future. Well, Trump's argument is if we don't have that and another country moves in, we're in trouble. Now, I think we're in trouble already with China in space and Russia in space. And I think now with the long-range missiles, I think we're in trouble no matter what. But no, I really don't prefer Russia and China taking over Greenland. Should we wait till we see them make their first move and then jump on it? Or have they already made their first move and nobody reported on it? And so Trump's like, all right, they made their first move. Now we are. We're just not getting the full story. And right now, how the media is presenting it is Trump has nothing better to do. And he just wants to expand Greenland and put his name on it. I think there's more to that. I just don't think we should do anything by force. And what he wants to use is tariffs to coerce the EU to back down and let him make a deal. But I know. I told you guys, 2026 was going to be a chaotic year. Is the U.S. in trouble, like Trump says? Absolutely. Absolutely. Not while we're under Trump's watch, but I think if we get another Biden or anything close to that lets our borders be porous again, that is so, I'm just going to, kiss the ring of China or whatever. I'm not going to, let them do whatever. They can produce all our medicines for us. We're going to show that we trust them. I really do believe that China and Russia are waiting to make their move. They can't do it now with Trump, but are they going to make their move later? And that's why people are talking, should we have Greenland just in case? I don't know. 1-877 Doc Dolly, don't go away.
At Hot Shot Secret, we share the science behind common diesel problems and their solutions. For example,
Diesel fuel cetane levels.
in many states, the cetane rating in diesel fuel is 42 to 45. Most diesel engines operate more efficiently with a cetane rating of 48 to 50. One treatment of Hot Shot Secret Diesel Extreme will raise your cetane 7 points, increase fuel economy, and improve cold starts. Due to a cleaner burn, there are less hydrocarbons and particulate matter in your exhaust. This reduces the blockage of your diesel particulate filter. Using Diesel Extreme generates 83% less DPF regeneration. The 6-in-1 Diesel Extreme formula also includes the most concentrated detergent on the market, lubricity enhancer, water demulsifier, rust and corrosion inhibitors, and a fuel stabilizer.
Hot Shot Secret Diesel Extreme is available nationwide at truck stops, fine farm and auto stores, and online at hotshotsecret.com. Hot Shot Secret, powered by science.
Back on the Dr. Dolly Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877 Doc Dolly, 1-877 DOCDALI. So many of you saw the commercials. You saw Serena Williams take her Mounjaro shot. You saw all these stars, Oprah Winfrey lose weight. Kelly Clarkson looks amazing, although I don't know if she's doing the GLP-1 shots, but people are assuming she is. You see all these celebrities doing their shots, and you're like, well, I want to get my shot too. And I want to take Ozempic or Mounjaro or the weight loss counterparts, Wegovy and Zepbound, and I'm going to lose my weight. I'm going to look like these celebrities, and then I'll go off of it, and my life will be perfect. And we've been saying now for the last couple of years, you could gain the weight back. I don't think you're going to be able to stop the drugs. Once you stop the drugs, you're going to gain the weight back. And then doctors would argue with me saying, Dr. Dahlia, but look at the health benefits. Do you see the studies, these heart studies and cancer risk studies where look at some people's heart and metabolic health when they lose the weight? Such amazing benefits. And I agree that losing the weight does. But I always ask, my counter is anybody studying what the rebound weight gain does to the heart and does it negate and erase some of that? This is why we never tell you to yo-yo diet. Because it's not healthy. Oh no, Dr. Dahlia, you gotta evolve with the times. It's about the GLP-1s, and I'm like, I'm just not buying it. Well, we have another study talking about how rapidly the weight comes back. Now we know that you could get the study. We know you could gain the weight back, but we don't have a lot of details as to how much and how quickly. So this latest research was published in the BMJ, British Medical Journal. And as we predicted, sadly, they said stopping the drugs not only can trigger weight regain more than previously thought, but stopping the drugs is also associated with a reversal of improvements in your heart and metabolic health, including cholesterol and blood pressure. University of Oxford researchers analyzed 37 studies published up to February 2025. Involving more than 9,000 participants who were on an average of 39 weeks of this weight loss treatment. No, less than a year, but over 6 months. On average, patients regained 0.9 pounds per month after stopping treatment. Researchers estimated that body weight and risk markers for diabetes and heart disease would return to pre-treatment levels in less than 2 years. But the analysis also revealed that the weight came back on nearly 4 times faster than after changing or quitting a diet or exercise regimen, no matter how many pounds had been shed. So if it took you a year to lose 50 pounds, you might gain that 50 pounds back in 3 months. Now, what does that do for your heart health? Gaining that much weight that quickly can be bad. And so, look, I want people to lose weight. I want people to get the cardiovascular and metabolic benefits. But you got to give everybody the whole story. If you're going to go on these, you have to understand that there could be risks when you stop. And if the average person does not want to be on a medicine that hasn't been tested for life, and a medicine that's $1,000 a month, even if Trump gets it down to $275 on his Trump RX website, still, $275 a month is a lot. Right now, I think the cheapest anybody could get it for is $500 a month. Which, again, thanks to Trump for negotiating the price down. But can you live on something for $500 a month when you're barely paying your rent or mortgage? So according to researchers, they say the evidence suggests that despite their success in achieving initial weight loss, these drugs alone may not be sufficient for long-term weight control. Study authors acknowledge that only 8 studies assessed treatment with newer GLP-1 drugs at a maximum follow-up period of 12 months after the medication was stopped. That we may need more studies looking at longer. And the fact that even with these short-term studies, you see the weight rebound. I don't even need the study. I'm seeing patients tell me they gained all their weight back. And I asked them, I go, how much money how many months were you on it and what did you spend? I met a person who spent $50,000, was on the medication for 50 months. Now, she was using it when it was for diabetes. She was using it not for diabetes, but her diabetic husband's medication. But $50,000? And what do you have to show for it? I mean, at least with cosmetic surgery, I mean, you can take some pictures. You can, pretty much hopefully still have that nose or those breast implants. But it's just too much money. And not to mention there's side effects with that. And I'm still not convinced that you could be on a GLP-1 for life. Remember, Ozempic and Mounjaro haven't been around for life. I think they came out 15, 20 years ago. And patients are using diabetic dosing. They're not upping the dose rapidly to lose weight and then also microdosing in between. So I think the amounts people are taking has not been studied to the degree that it needs to. And so this GLP-1 being the panacea to all this, look, I think we're closer than we ever were to coming up with a way to help people lose weight. But we are not there yet with something that could be permanent, safe, and cheap. They're working on it. But we're not there yet. And people could be hurting themselves when they rebound with the weight. And it's a lot of money you're spending. But the problem is we can't lose weight. I mean, I could complain about GLP-1s. I could complain about the situation. What advice can I give you to lose weight? Well, diet and exercise works, but not for everybody. Especially if you're not doing the right kind of exercising. Now, some of you are getting personal trainers. I think personal trainers can really, really help with the motivation, with teaching you how to work on certain muscle groups, making you think of exercises you didn't think of doing. But you got to be careful, because I just took care of a patient who went into full-blown rhabdomyolysis. She said her physical trainer kept pushing her when she said she was in pain. And he said, keep going, keep going, keep going. And unfortunately, it caused muscle breakdown, which clogged her kidneys, and she ended up in the ICU. So you need to exercise, but I think you also need to do it smartly. And you can't just walk the dog. That's not enough. You have to actually go to the gym. You have to cut the sugar. And I got to tell you, you'll lose weight if you go to single ingredient foods. Now, if you grab some spinach, if you grab a piece of lean chicken, not processed meat, if you drink some milk, if you put some avocado and put it on a whole grain toast, If you freeze berries and then eat them, it's almost like candy. There's ways where you can make a very tasty diet that doesn't involve, because we're getting fat because of all the processed foods. Why? Because our body doesn't know how to digest them. They don't know how to utilize them, so it turns into fat. And mind you, Lucky Charms is delicious, but it's not what your body needs, and your body will turn it into fat. And one thing that I recommend is you got to look at sugar as it's evil. A little bit of sugar is fine. But, you see a cookie, no, that's poison. You see a lollipop, it's poison. You see a cupcake that's all decorated for football and with the green frosting, and it has a little ring, a little football ring, and you're like, I could wear this football ring when I go and watch the college championships, and I didn't. I forgot to wear my little football ring, but I ate all the frosting. No, just no. You got to look at it as it's poison, it's poison, it's poison. And you know who knows how to do that are people with cancer. People who have had cancer. They're scared to death to touch sugar because they think sugar is going to feed the cancer. And they're not wrong. So you really got to change your mindset. But for those of you on GLP-1s, and I haven't started yet, I wanted to try it to see what it does with my gut health. But I'm really worried because I don't want to lose weight on it and then gain the weight back. Gaining the weight back can be dangerous. So make sure you're building up your muscle, exercising, and when you're going off of them, talk to your doctor about how to go off of them slowly to try to, mitigate the rebound. Wait, 1-877-DOC-DOLLY. Are you tired, burned out, gaining weight, succumbing to the daily pressures of life? Well, how's your dopamine doing? How you feel right now, how you'll feel an hour from now, and how you'll feel next week is completely reliant on your dopamine. Our daily motivation and willingness to push through challenges depends on the intricate chemical process dopamine provides. Christian Kalikas and I created Deploying Dopamine, a book that tells you what dopamine is, when it dysfunctions, and how to successfully deploy it when needed. Find Deploying Dopamine on Amazon today. Check it out.
We, the people, are guaranteed 5 freedoms in the First Amendment.
Freedom of speech.
Freedom of religion.
Freedom of the press.
Freedom to peaceably assemble.
Freedom to petition the government.
Only the United States has these 5 freedoms so simply bound together and guaranteed. Think first. Learn more at thinkfirstamendment.org.
Carl Amari here to tell you about our newest website for old-time radio lovers. It's 100radioshows.com. At this site, there are 5 old-time radio shows waiting for you to download free as our gift to you, and be sure to browse the additional 700 old-time radio shows available to you for 70% off by using the promo code RADIO at checkout. This is a limited-time offer, so log on to 100radioshows.com. That's 100radioshows.com.
As an organ donor, your story doesn't have to end. The good in you can live on. In fact, you could save up to 8 lives and restore sight and health for many more. Sign up right now online as an organ, eye, and tissue donor. You'll be happy you did. And just maybe, someone else will be happy too. Go to organdonor.gov. It saves lives. U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Health Resources and Services Administration.
We are back on the Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-DOC-DALI, 1-877-DOCDALI. So one of my listeners, remaining anonymous, wants to know, how do all these 60 and 70-year-old men look so cut, look so good? What are they doing? Because they see, you see these commercials, I guess they're the same people that do the Gravite cologne. The man is talking and he says, you could look like this, but if you use our product, you'll look like this. And you see these men, to me, they look the same. And I love older men. I think the older men look, it's so interesting how as you age, you are attracted to people in your age group. Now, maybe because I'm a woman, I'm sure men can still find, younger women attractive. For me, if I look at a young man, like college age, I think of them as a little baby. It's so odd. It's so icky. It's just not, but somebody who's in their 40s or 50s or 60s, like Michael Fassbender or Viggo Mortensen, they look pretty good. Yeah, in fact, Sylvester Stallone even looks pretty good. Sylvester Stallone is 79 years old. He's got some swag. He's got some game. I still think he looks good. But it's also because when you watch their careers when they're younger and you see them age, Bruce Willis always will have a crush on him. Because I just did. But what is everybody doing? What are they? Well, okay. Are we talking about your next door neighbor? Or are we talking about Sylvester Stallone? I mean, Sylvester Stallone, he's got money, which means he's got personal trainers. He's got probably professional chefs. He's got, not to mention he's trained ever since he was a fighter. There's just, he's got a whole decades and decades of research and help and money. But, for these other people, and I have some friends who are really, they really take care of themselves pretty well. But I also know some of the backstories and some of the things that aren't very public. So a lot of men will lose their hair. The women, too. Women's hair will thin and not be as luxurious. And so men can now add hair and use extensions. They don't necessarily have to get hair transplants. Some men take medications like minoxidil to help slow down hair loss. Other men might actually go for transplants. But so some of these men where it looks like you could just run your fingers through their hair, there's a good chance that many of those individuals don't necessarily have natural hair, which is okay. But it's important for you guys to know, because you'll sit there and you'll look at, I don't know, let's say Jennifer Lopez, or you'll look at Beyonce, and you're like, God, why can't I have hair like them? Well, if they're using extensions, you need to have kind of practical goals. Because I've seen women, they try to grow their hair out to have nice, long Margot Robbie hair, and then they're in their 50s, and it just doesn't look good. I'm like, well, it's because, these actresses, they all don't have perfect hair either. It's because, they're like Sophie Vergara. I think her hair is beautiful. I think her hair is natural, but I wouldn't be surprised if she uses extensions. Because as we get older, things change and hair thins. And men could do that too. I have a friend who does it's not like a toupee, but it's like a hair extend. It's something that he uses on, to cover the baldness. It looks so natural. It looks great. And he looks 20 years younger. So sometimes that's what happens. In terms of physical fitness, and, many people think, well, I got to get testosterone. I have to get testosterone. Many of them are on testosterone supplementation. However, that has to be watched, and that has to be done very carefully, because there are risks with testosterone therapy, especially if you are prone to prostate cancer or clots or other things. And so if you are low and you need supplementation, but if you aren't low and you supplement with steroids such as testosterone, that could be a problem. But not everybody who looks good is on it, but that could also be at play. But I watch what my friends do that don't necessarily take these medications, and they eat well, and they exercise, and they're at the gym, or they cycle, or they're playing pickleball, or they're just being very active. And another thing that I'm noticing is they think young. And I'm not talking midlife crisis where you go and hit on 20-year-olds, but they don't sit and talk like I do, going, oh gosh, I'm getting old. Or are you kidding me? Are my hemorrhoids flaring up again? And oh my God, my knees. Oh, my knee. No, now I know I do that with you all. And I mean, I'm honest with you, but outside, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go for a run, or I'm going to hike, or I'm going to get out there. And I notice the more active I am, the less I hurt. In fact, every time I start to feel pain, I move. And when I move, it feels better. And I also have a very youthful outlook on life. I want to do things. Kids are like, Mom, I want to go to Six Flags. You want to come with us? Hell yeah. Should I? No. I don't want to have a cardiac event. Apparently somebody died on one of the, was it Orlando? Was it Universal Studio? One of the monster rides, one of the rides that flip you upside down and loop-de-loop, and apparently she had some sort of a medical event. So I understand I'm going to pretty soon get to the age where I cannot do those extreme roller coasters. I probably shouldn't do them now. But, just do what you can handle so you don't hurt yourself. Like skiing. I love to ski, but I'm probably not going to do a black diamond anymore. I'm probably going to play it safer because I don't have to do the blues, but I have to understand my limitations. Because now that bones are starting to thin, I could fall. I had a good friend who broke his wrist playing pickleball. Now he's back at it, but his wrist was not the same for a year. So and then my husband and I were playing pickleball, and he falls 4 times because he's trying to lunge for the ball, and he wasn't wearing proper shoes. And if you're not used to the pickleball court, you fall. And I'm competitive. I played racquetball. So I have no problem slamming into walls, but there's no walls with pickleball. You're outside, so you're just going to fall over. You're not going to hit a wall. I think hitting a wall is a little safer than falling on the ground. So, but when you look at these individuals that look really good, again, don't compare yourself to celebrities. Like I said, Oprah Winfrey, she's Ozempicing, she's got private chefs, she gets to live in Hawaii. That all helps weight loss. But you can do what some of the celebrities do without spending all that money. You don't necessarily have to have a personal trainer. I mean, you could do Peloton, or you could watch these videos that teach you how to do certain exercises that help with certain muscle groups. You could eat single ingredient food. You could take care of your skin. And if there is something you want to nip tuck, that's okay. If you think your eyelids are drooping, or you're getting bags, or you don't like your nose shape, I don't mind people doing that. It looks horrible when you do multiple cosmetic surgeries and you're not even recognizable. But, facelifting, changing some contours here and there, I think that's totally fine. Because you need to feel good. You need to love life. You also need to embrace the age. If you're 52, if you're 62, if you're 72, if you're 82, you embrace your age. You understand there's limitations, but you're only 82. You're not 102. You can still do stuff in your 80s. And I hear my friends, because a lot of my friends are in their 50s. Oh my gosh, I'm a grandpa now. So, it's good. They're still sexy grandpas. I mean, that's, you could still, because I think that's a lot of it too. People feel like they lose their sex appeal because all we did when we were younger is try to be sexy. And when we stopped to realize that all we needed to really, really do is embrace our youth. The sexy part came along with it. And so all we think is, I got to make myself more sexy. No, you don't. But you got to make yourself as more active, more youthful. 1-877-DOC-DOLLY. Don't go away.
Can you believe, with all the recent violent protests, looting, and destruction, some areas are considering either defunding or abolishing the police? At a time when America's neighborhoods need the protection of police the most, some elected officials would rather create more chaos by playing politics. If you're sick of elected officials caving in to demands of the radical left, you're not alone. It's time we stand up and declare our support for local police. The majority of police officers are important partners in protecting our God-given rights. If you prefer freedom over chaos, then learn how you can help protect the local police that serve your community. Call today and request your free Support Your Local Police info packet. Dial 800-JBS-USA-1. That's 800-JBS-USA-1. Request your free Support Your Local Police info packet by calling 800-JBS-USA-1 today.